What's going on, guys? Alec here from Oz Fury Gaming. Going to give you some fighting tips and hopefully help you out from what my experience has been.
Swarm initiated.
So first thing first, if you've got gimbaled weapons and fixed weapons, what will happen is the gimbal will follow the little circle here, it's circling around the center of the screen, and the fixed weapons will shoot to the center of the screen. Fix this by pressing right, Alt and J. Notice how the circle dips away but that dot is still there. Next thing you want to take account of is the velocity and where your ship is traveling. This helps line your ship up with the enemy ship and also helps with your shots. So see that sort of circlish thing in the squarish thing in the middle? That tells you where the ship is actually traveling to. So as I do that, see how it disappears off the screen and then realigns itself as it starts going in the right direction. So what we have there is M5A laser cannons and the pyro bursts. The pyro bursts are fantastic at close range, and M5As are fantastic at long range. Personally, I prefer to run the Panther repeaters all round, but for today, for accuracy reasons, I'm trying to show off how things work.
Warning, there are multiple hostiles inbound.
So as you would have seen before, when I was tracking that previous Aurora, I had the circles. Now see, there's one circle here, which is the glorious M5As. But the second circle will appear when I get closer, which would be the good old classic, the pyro burst. See that? So now, what this means, guys, is at that second in time, if I was to shoot, and the ship that I was shooting at was still going in the same direction with the same velocity, my shot will hit. Now the biggest thing that happens, right, is change of direction, change of speed. These two things will throw off the targeting computers that we're using at the moment and make it harder to hit people. This also comes into effect, like I said, when you start throwing the ship around. The game has this tendency to not always put the bullet where you want it because you're so off on your trajectory. So, what does this mean? Well, what you want to do is basically burst fire for foremost. Don't keep holding the trigger, just burst fire it, and that way it doesn't overheat your guns. Also too allows you to know where you're going next. If you've got single shotguns like the M5As, obviously you just want to line your shot up each time, but I'm talking more if you have like a Mantis or Panther, Badger, Bulldog repeaters, anything like that, Sawbucks. Just take your time, burst it, and follow the target too, and don't just spray wait for a good shot. If you don't have one, break off, come back, re-engage. Now in the Saber here, which makes it a lot easier to track targets, but the main reason for using the Saber is I get able to get through this quickly, and also I can take two different weapons, and I just love flying it too. So, what other things do we need to worry about? Well, targeting ships can be a big thing. So for example, if you press Y at the moment, it will cycle through the different targets we have available. If you press U, it will bring up friendly targets, and if you keep pressing it, it will cycle through them. And then T brings up the closest target to you. Now, the last thing you want to do is the target that's at the center of your screen, if you press R, will target them regardless if they're friendly or enemy. So what we want to do, guys, is now we're going to lock on with the missile. So the way that you do this with mouse and keyboard, like I fly, is you press the center mouse button or the wheel, and it will lock on. These bits of a circle will start showing up and will start locking. When it gets to full circle around the target, hold the middle button and it will release. And that's how we release the missile. Now, you can usually stack more than one missile, depending on the ship. Some can stack more, some can stack less than 3, and depending on the size of missile too. But basically, like if you're flying this Saber and you had size 2s, I know you can lock 3 on at a time. I'm not sure what the size 4s are like, let's see. Okay, so I can lock all 3 on at one time. Missile. So as you could see there, guys, we had a missile impact. Now, it'll come up in the center of the screen with the missile type that's targeting you. So that will allow you to use flares. As we can see here, I have an EM flare and an infrared flare, basically for the two different types of missiles that can be thrown off. The last type of missile is a cross-sectional missile, and that will allow you to basically lock onto the hull of the ship. There's no way to really get around it. You just got to get behind an asteroid or something and trick the missile into hitting it. So if you're flying mouse and keyboard, guys, Depending what your key binding is for flares, look that up in the settings and that will help you out. And the other thing is what they call space brake. So if you're going full speed, like I've got afterburner on it, and then go, shit, I want to stop. If you hit the space brake, you stop really quickly. This allows for tight maneuvering as well as just better dogfighting. Now you can usually slow down by just reducing your thrust, and that's obviously just by taking it down to 0. But as you see it slow down, then I hit the space brake and it comes a lot quicker. This, although, generates a lot more infrared, higher infrared signature, which will allow ships with infrared missiles to lock onto you a hell of a lot easier. So the other thing I want to talk about too is actual targeting with your gun. So like I said before, you follow those circles, that's where your gun's going to hit. But sometimes it's not always right. Sometimes you got to go with your gut. Now I'm running lead pips simply because it's what I've grown up with as a kid, shooting and other things. I've always been taught you lead a target, you're trying to hunt it, you're not trying to chase it. So that's the way I fly. Now lag pips do have their place in my opinion for when you take bigger ships and you're trying to discriminate between certain pieces of ship tech. For example, engines, certain turrets. If you're trying to blow a hole near the to vent oxygen so you kill the people on board, things like that. That's what they're good for. Now, I don't run the lags simply against little ships like this, because if you're at this range where the M5s can hit, you've got no way of knowing that you're going to be actually directly on them. So that's why I like to run the leads. So as we can see here, it's all about judging it. So I reckon about the top. So you got to see as you can see the target go upwards, even though it's shown at a true direct, like diagonal. If you go a little bit above the diagonal, like a curve, you've got a better chance of hitting the target. So the Pyro Bursts are OP, shit at the moment, only in Arena Commander, not the Pirate Swarm. If you take them into the good old verse, or anything like that, you're going to have a bad day. Because they don't work. It's been like that for a bit, they've known about it. It will be fixed with item 2.0, so don't worry. Now, even though you deploy the flare, you hit the missiles on the wrong side of you, because the flares get deployed usually from the bottom or the rear of your ship, so you're going to have a bad day trying to avoid it, because it's going to come straight to you. Alright guys, well, that's going to be me done for this video. I hope you enjoyed some of the tips and tricks I'm throwing out there. I hope to catch you guys around the verse. Toodaloo.